Hey everyone, welcome back to the garden. It's a beautiful day out here and I'm really excited. I'm super stoked because I just had several loads of compost delivered to our campus right here, right next to our garden, which is perfect because now I can just get it right in there, which we desperately need some compost. What is compost, you're asking? And most of you probably already know if you're gardening because it's just so great to use. Compost is basically a mixture of broken down, decomposed organic material. A lot of it's in here. You can see there's old branches, sticks, and twigs and leaves. A lot of leaves, grass clippings, and specifically this compost I'm actually really excited about because it comes from my alma mater, the university I used to go to and graduated from here. And I live in Northern California, and it's CSUS, what is it, California State University, Sacramento, Sac State, Hornets or whatever. And so I'm pretty stoked that they have a program there, which is actually a super massive magnified version of what I kind of do here with our students to a degree, is where we try to collect as much of our yard waste, green waste from the campus, and instead of having it taken off in trucks, we basically compost it on site. They have a pretty intensely planted campus with lots of big trees and some lawns and shrubs and all types of stuff, and leaves are, need pruning and cutting, and they're dropping leaves all the time, and all the lawns get cut. So there's tons of material for them to use. They used to have to go out and trucks be trucking it out of there. Now they're trimming it with, they have a pretty solid ground screw there, and they do a great job on that campus, keep it looking real nice. And so they collect it all, chop it up, mound it all up, and they have a big, massive pile of compost there, and now it's been building up. We built a really good relationship with their sustainability program, and they are just so fantastic. They had some guys deliver this, and they were just the kindest gentlemen, and they were super stoked to be hooking us up. They brought it was a pretty decent sized truck, but not a huge dump truck, but I think it took 4 or 5 loads that they dumped for us, and they said they'd bring us back some. But here, I'll give you some close-ups to show you what it is. Not all compost is created equal. Like I said, if you go buy some from a yard, soil and rock place, it's going to be a little bit more uniform, and you'll probably be a bit finer grained, and you'll see it's been kind of, it's a little bit different quality, which is, whatever. This is free for us. So there are a lot of similar characteristics, but you'll notice in this pile, maybe just because it's just a bigger, where the source material is, it's just, sometimes some of the chunks might be bigger, it might even be a cobble rock, stone that gets caught in there. Not a big deal. Anything that's not ready to go in the garden, we can sift out, or just, clearly you see like a half a decomposed pine cone, you can pull that out. And so either way, we're really stoked to have this. We'll probably take some of it and mix it into our compost, just and then to help and aid in that, because we have a lot of branches and stuff on top that I like to chop up and bury. But what we're going to do, and I'll show you, we have a big task ahead of us this year. And if you're still on the video, I appreciate that. Please hit that like and subscribe button, and I appreciate hanging with me because we actually have a massive task to take care of. I want to go show you that right now. All right, so before I get too deep into the beauties and wonders of compost, I want to show you what we're up against. So normally, in a normal year, we would have already been kind of transitioning this garden out and probably already had our warm season garden, probably finishing up planting it right now. All of your warm season crops would be either planted by seedling, or the seeds would be ready to rock if they needed it. But you can see, this is what happens when the students are gone for a year. So we had a solid garden every year up to this, I think for the last, 8 or 9 years in here. And so you can see right now we've kind of let it go fallow, although it's kind of cool. There's some beets that I'm kind of letting go to seed because I want to get their seeds. But yeah, those are beets. And so we'll get those seeds out of here and collect those because for microgreens and for replanting. And then here's some other ones I'm going to harvest pretty soon. And so that's actually cilantro. Oh, look what we got there. Some little friends in the garden. Do you know what those are called? I bet you do. I bet you do. Who doesn't know what those are? Those are like, everyone's like, first ones you learn. Those are some ladybugs, some lady beetles. Ladybirds, as my friend's Irish mom calls them. But yeah, they're actually blooming. So we'll actually let those go a little bit longer perhaps. But really, all of this has got to come out. It has to. You can see our blueberry shrubs, little love, but they're actually doing pretty decent. They might actually produce a little fruit this year. They got a little blasted last summer when the irrigation got cut off unbeknownst, but that happens. We'll work around that. But you can see this is really what I'm up against, and so all that compost, these are actually vegetable beds. You can't tell because the weeds are so gnarly. But one benefit of having all these kind of wildness right now before we get going, as you can see, it's actually pretty good habitat for a lot of decent insects. But we'll get in here soon and chop all this up, churn it up, and that compost is going to have to come in here, and it'll thicken everything up. It'll break apart any hard soils, and I'll show you the difference because the kind of dirt that we were dealing with out here when we first started growing is this right here. Let me see if I can show you. This is the garden out here. Was, you know, it's like once you get past that little bit of bark that was there that I put down a long time ago, it's hard pan. It's like clay-like. So we've had this garden for a while, and actually how we've had so much success is we amend it every year, amend it with more organic matter, more compost, more soil nutrition. We do a lot with, like I said, composting, but especially the worm compost. But you see that the weeds have taken over. I did do some cover crop over the winter a little bit, and then some of them have gone and trim back, and then some of them are actually still blooming a little bit. You can see these ones right here blooming, really pretty, but they're also battling some weeds. But all of it's going to get trimmed up and get that compost added. So let's head over that compost pile one last time and go take a peek. But here, actually, before we do that, let me show you right now what's going on with this compost pile. This is actually ours right now, and we moved it out here right before we had to close things down last year, and so it's actually just grown quite a bit of added ton to it. But what it really needs is, it's a little fluffy in there. It needs to be chopped up and then maybe mixed up a little bit more, but the heart of it is going to be black gold for sure. You can see there's our apple trees starting to come back. But let's go take a look and go talk about compost. So here's our massive compost pile. Oh, and you see pretty decent, although I'm sure some of you have maybe had larger loads dumped. You can get like, 10, 20, 30, 40 yards delivered or more, depending upon how much you're willing to pay for it. Luckily for us, this was all free. All 100%, even the delivery was free, which was great. And like I said, you couldn't ask for better service. Like I said, sometimes you might come across things that aren't fully decomposed and maybe not quite ready to go into the garden, right? But this can get sifted out or removed pretty easily. Oof, dusty. And so, ooh, made me sneeze. And so you can see right here, there's tons and tons of organic matter, like leaves and twigs and whatnot. And so actually when they delivered it, it was steaming. Like as they were dumping it, you could see just steam pouring off the piles. And I'll dig into the heart of this later, and maybe, although it's already pretty warm, you can see it's still actually decomposing to a degree for sure. Like it's not fully there yet. But for us, this is great. We will absolutely utilize this compost because it's going to help break up our hard soils. It adds a lot of organic matter, which is basically good for increasing soil fertility by aiding in the water, or your soil's ability to retain water, also hold a little bit of air, but really water absorption. Fungi and bacteria also love soils that are rich in organic material. And so for us, it's just great. Like I said, there's gonna be some nitrogen, probably some phosphorus, potassium, micronutrients already built into here, although we'll still add a lot of that as well. But it's just, compost is great. Like you just want to keep adding it to a certain degree. You can actually have too much compost in your soil. If you notice your soil is just holding water like crazy, and then you might be having too much compost, or the compost is really rich and a little hot, and it's not fully more broken down. If it comes from like manure, sometimes you can overdo it then. But really, typically, in the amounts that most people use, it's super effective at improving the quality here. I'm going to stomp on this so you just crumbly, it just breaks apart. Like I said, it's really good at loosening up your soil and just bringing that soil to life. That's what we want. We want living soil that can hold water, breathe a little bit, and provide nutrition for our plants, right? Around here, we feed the soil feeds the plants. In a more conventional style of gardening and farming, when you use synthetics, which is fine if that's your deal, you're feeding the plant right away and kind of foregoing feeding the soil. And then that's a technique too. It's usually quicker response, but with the results not quite as long lasting, or at least you have to keep doing it. Anywho, you can see from our garden up there, we've got a lot of work to do. So if you think we can make it and have that garden planted and tilled by the end of the school year, comment below. If you think we're nuts and we're not going to have any chance, also comment below. And if you enjoyed this at all, hit that like, subscribe button. We'd love to have you back. And tell us about how do you use compost? Do you think compost is good? Have you used too much before or too little? let us know. We'd love to hear it. But I really, really hope we can get this added to the garden and get everything going again, because like here, I'll show you one last time. It's really pretty out here. And actually, this tree right here, and on a side note, this one had peach leaf curl so bad last year because it didn't get sprayed. And then this year I was like, no, I'm spraying it. And look at it. Look how there's like not one, like maybe half a leaf with some peach leaf curl on it. It looks really good. I mean, and this tree was toast. So just, you know, side note, you can see I get distracted very easily, but really this is what it's all about. We're gonna get that compost over to here because our goal is in the next, what, 6 weeks or so is all we have left to try to get this, maybe even less really, because, you know, everyone kind of signs off that last week or two. So really we have about like 5-6 weeks at best to try to get this garden planted so we can come back in the late summer, early fall with actual food growing, pumpkins, melons, squash, you know, peppers, maybe a couple tomatoes, some zooks, all that good stuff, some winter squash, fun stuff. All right. Well, anywho, I think that's it for now. Go away. Just kidding. Take care. Bye-bye now. Happy gardening.